Hey, what's your problem? You have business problems? We have business solutions.
Maybe.
Well, maybe.
Not all the time.
Life is a fight. In business, every day is a fight.
Yeah.
So, hey, what's your problem?
Yes, thank you, John David Wells, the big voice guy for this program. Check him out at the Wells Report on Facebook. Great guy. Supposedly, rumor has it, he'll be here in town in a couple of months. We're going to try and get him on. Even though he's out of Texas, he's still, he's got the thing, and it's always something. It's like, it doesn't have to be just Middle Tennessee. This is the What's Your Problem podcast, where we talk to Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals about the one thing. Typically, it's their backstory. We have a free-flowing conversation, and at some point, I'll hit them with a question. Hey, what's your problem? What are you dealing with? This is a video and audio podcast. Check us out at whatsyourproblempodcast.com. 2023, the year of 10,000 average downloads per episode. That's what we're shooting for. We're a ways off, but, we're going to put it out there and try and get there. And, you never know. If you know somebody who wants to be on the show, let us know. If you like the show, share it out, rate it, subscribe, encourage other people to subscribe. Help us out. That would be wonderful. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, and today we've got a first. I'm going to dare say a mega fan of the show, Mr. Quintin Lunsford.
Yes, sir.
With Window Hero.
That's right.
Formerly Labor Pains of Franklin, Nashville.
Correct. Franklin.
Yeah. So you're out there cleaning windows every day, and I would imagine there's going to be a lot of stuff for us to talk about. It just goes to show you guys that if you listen to the show and you're a mega fan, you may just get invited on.
Heck yeah, let's go.
So you've been a huge proponent of mine for so long, and I so appreciate it. And we're finally making it happen, getting you on here. Because you are a business owner and a professional here in Middle Tennessee.
That's right.
You may have heard that we kick things off with a certain feature that I didn't give you the choice. We're just going to do it. We're doing the Dad Joke Challenge, buddy.
Okay,
so
sounds
here we
good.
go. So here's the music. Very abruptly transitioned. Dad Joke Challenge is brought to you by it'syourshow.co. This is the company that produces this very podcast, amongst others. You can check out other podcasts that we produce by going to it'syourshow.co. Why would you want a podcast? Why not? It's cathartic. It's fun. You get your voice and your likeness and your personal brand out there and promote your business and learn how to talk to people and meet new people. Who do you want to meet? Invite them on your podcast. And of course, you can always create those clips that can go on all the social medias if you like. That's kind of the ultimate goal of a podcast. It'syourshow.co. Okay, Dad Joke Challenge. Quintin, are you ready?
Oh, bring it on.
You've been born ready.
Bring it on.
You've been listening to this show every single episode. I really appreciate that. All right,
sir.
The Dad Joke Challenge is actually going to undergo a shift as well, with Mr. Edward Fox standing in for telling the jokes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
A different level.
We both know Edward Fox.
Yes.
The Aussie himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, joke number 1. I can only seem to get sick on weekdays. I must have a weekend immune system.
That's a good one.
That's not bad.
That is pretty great.
Joke 2. What do you call a Frenchman wearing sandals?
No clue. Couldn't tell you.
Philippe Flop. You laughed.
That was a good one.
That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
This is actually perfect for me. I don't get why Marvel doesn't use Hulk to advertise more. He's basically one big banner.
Yeah, he is. That's true.
That's right.
Very true.
Yeah. All right. What brand of underwear do scientists wear?
Fruit of the Loom.
Calvin Klein. Kelvin.
Yeah. Okay, there it is. I see it now.
There it is. When you got to explain
molecular activity or something like that. Yeah, I got it. I'm there.
I just found out that I'm colorblind. Just came out of the purple.
Yeah, it did. Yes, it did.
All right, there's 5.
That's great. Those are good.
There's the Dad Joke Challenge, brought to you by it'syourshow.co. Make sure you check us out if you're looking for a podcast. we'd love to produce it for you. That's what we do. So let's get on with things, Mr. Quintin Lunsford. Formerly Labor Pains, now your window hero. Was that wasn't a decision of yours? You're a franchisor, right? Franchisee, I guess?
Franchisee. The franchisor made the decision.
Right.
Mainly the most practical reason was literally it was just too creative of a name.
Right.
Like customers galore loved it. They thought it was hilarious.
Labor Pains?
Yeah, they thought Labor Pains was great. But what the issue was is like I would call somebody and be like, hey, I'm Quintin with Labor Pains. And they'd be like, we don't have anybody pregnant. Why are you calling me? We're cleaning your windows. Okay, gotcha. So it's like that conversation happened 1,000 times.
It was a little bit of a stretch for them to see the pains as Panes.
Exactly. It was mainly an auditory thing that was the issue, as well as like with like commercial accounts.
Right.
A lot of times the property managers, they did like a whole like huge market research and stuff. And 9 times out of 10, the property manager is a male, and the male isn't really going to get that reference as easily as like maybe a female would typically. And so for like those commercial accounts, they'd have to like figure out like what you do, who are you, and there was a lot more questions and hurdles you had to get over just because of the name.
Right.
And so that's why they switched it to Window Hero, because at least at very minimum they could easily associate it to Windows. Got it.
Yeah.
Right, we hear that. And
instant connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, it makes sense. It's another creative name. Like when you made the announcement that you were going from Labor Pains to Window Hero, I was like, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
It seems like it fits better.
It's way more simple. And initially, I honestly didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that we were changing names, and I had a lot of issues with it. But and mainly just issues in the sense of change. Period. Like I was really afraid that I was brand new, just finished like my first year of being in business, and then they're changing the brand name. And so I'm like, dang it, bro, I'm going to have a whole nother year of basically being brand new.
Right.
And no one's going to know who I am all over again.
Was that the case?
And it turned out, no, that wasn't the case. And the main reason was afterwards, I realized people care a lot more about the person that they're interacting with than the brand or the name of the company that's behind them.
Right.
Specifically whenever it comes to ownership. Maybe like a normal employee or whatever, like for them, they just kind of like, I don't remember, it's window something. I don't know. And there are like six or seven different companies that have the word window in them or the word power washing in it, in the literal name of the company, that are very big. But what I think a lot of people cared about was I personally, the owner of the company, was saying, hey, this is Quintin from Labor Pains and Window Hero. We cleaned out your gutters last year. We'd love to come out and do that again for you this year. That kind of stuff. And people were like, oh yeah, I remember y'all. Y'all were great and would love to get on the schedule. Let me know. That kind of stuff. So it was nice. There was one particular case where it was to our detriment, and so that was unfortunate. But that was more so just a mix-up in the name, and he didn't really remember who I was, and so that was just on me, honestly, to not be able to build a genuine connection with the person to have them remember who I was individually.
But you make a point about the power of personal branding. People knew your name over your corporate name.
100%. Yep. And that's even what like our founder, Tyler Kirk, he started in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's something he talked about. Initially, it was like, hey, whenever you go to quote at a house or even at a big commercial job, whatever it might be, the person's going to choose you. They're not going to choose Labor Pains. They're not going to choose Window Hero because of the name. They're going to choose you because they think you're going to be reputable, you're going to be reliable, you're going to do a good job. And that's what they care about. They want to make sure that they're getting a good job done.
Such as the beginnings of almost every business that starts with a solopreneur.
Yeah.
You've got a team working with you. And I've seen you in action. You've got all the tools. You make window cleaning look very easy.
Thank you.
It's a pain in the butt.
Yep. That's right.
Nothing. Hold on. Let me get there. Hold on. I'll get there. Here we are. Yeah. We'll do that. Let that sit out there and just collect dust.
It's okay. I have made that joke a million times.
Yeah. But it is a pain in the butt. Really, to clean windows is, you just hire it out.
Yeah.
And you're not very expensive. Or
Well,
maybe you are now.
Appreciate
I don't know. But,
Well, I definitely, I tell people all the time, like, hey, there are other companies that are going to be cheaper than me. They're going to beat my price all day, every day. And really whenever you choose to use us instead of them, the mentality, at least for me, I don't necessarily share this with the customer, but the mentality I always have is like, hey, a 1994 Toyota Corolla, that'll get you to the grocery store and back.
Yeah.
So will a brand new 2023 Mercedes-Benz. They'll both get you to the grocery store and back. They'll get you from point A to point B, but it really matters about the experience. And that 94 Corolla may or may not fall apart on your way there or back. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where like the reliability, the excellence that comes into play. That's what you're getting with us. You're getting a positive experience. You're going to get guys who are well-trained and know what they're doing. They're experts at what they do. And that's what I love. That's my favorite part of the job is actually training guys to be competent and confident in what they do. So they can provide a consistent service to every customer.
That's the toughest part. I mean, look at you with the sales chops there. You know, I mean, you basically did the comparison. You know, when I was in the car business, we used to get that all the time.
Sure.
Where, I sold Mercedes, and at some point, you'd get a customer. Well, I can get this over at Global for the $2,000 less. And I said, look, if you scour the internet, I guarantee you'll find our exact car, maybe even certified for even far less than what we have it. I mean, just depending on where it is and how long they've had it, they have to discount it. So for whatever reason, it's not moving. But I can guarantee you, it's not our car. If you go over to the other place, I could tell you right now that we're the ones who do all the reconditioning on their vehicles because they don't have a place to do the recon. Recon means basically fixing things, cleaning up the car, doing the oil changes. Maybe it needs new tires, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a facility to do that. And guys, we've got the brand. We were able to factory certify this. They can't do that. They may tell you they can, and maybe it's their version of quote unquote certification, but it's not Mercedes-Benz branded, the factory standing behind the certification that they're going to honor and fix whatever comes along with the car. But with that, all that being said, if both cars were here, which one would you rather go with? And well, typically, and 9 times out of 10, they'd always say, well, this one. Okay, well, great. Why is that? And they'd go, well, because it is certified. Terrific. Why else? Because of this. Great. Why else? And I would just force it out of them.
Yeah.
And I say, you know what? That's why it's $2,000 more.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
You're making them convince themselves of why they need to buy that car. And we have a similar approach. It's like whenever I go to someone's house and quote them a job, it's like the reason why I'm pricing it the way I am is because I want to make sure that we take the right time and attention to do a great job that you would be proud of because we're helping beautify your home. Like this is your home, your investment. Like many of the homes we work with are over $1 million in value. And so we're helping you keep your home beautiful and provide value to you in that way. And you can easily find somebody else who's going to rush through the job, not do a great job. And they're not ever going to call you back if they mess something up. They're not going to accept responsibility for anything that they do wrong. Yeah. It's like we hardly ever mess up, but whenever we do, I am the first one. Hey, I am so sorry. I will come back tomorrow. Don't care what's going on. We'll get this thing freaking taken care of.
Yeah. Your reputation matters at that point.
Yeah.
And especially even the amount of equipment that you have to buy. Now, look, guys, we're not buying our stuff from Home Depot. We're not buying it from, where you can get it. We got professional machines and equipment and everything. We do this all day long. We're not a schmuck in a truck. We're not a guy, getting Home Depot gear out of the back of a, old Cadillac or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on. There's something to be said about that. You can absolutely find somebody to do this much cheaper than we can, but we're going to do it right, and we're going to stand behind it, and we're going to be here tomorrow if you're not happy.
Exactly.
That's why it costs a little bit extra.
Yeah.
So you just want to move forward with it, or what?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I do, and then even really kind of in my mind, I think of it as like why do we do an excellent job? Like why be reliable? Not just for reliability's sake or just for excellence sake, but really the way I think about it is ultimately the freedom that I have knowing that one, in my own worldview, I'm kind of getting philosophizable.
Philosophize, yeah.
But I know that God, ultimately, he's going to provide for me, regardless if it's with this job or another job, whatever it might be.
Right.
And so I can have freedom to know that I don't need to pull one over on you to make some money. I don't need to steal from you.
You really, you can say,
to do that,
this is the price. I get it. If it's too much, I understand.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
100%. Yeah, I do that all the time. I mean, and the way I think about it is specifically Ephesians 4:28. It's just a fairly obscure verse, but it says, "Let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need." And that's how I think about it. Is one, my company. I personally, from my perspective, to my employees and the culture within my company, I want to be able to provide something that is of value to them as the employee, to build a culture that they care about what they're doing, they respect and find value in what they do, and they can provide for their families, not just financially, but even with their time and presence, that they're not away for 90 hours a week, and have a healthy work-life balance. And on top of that, what ends up happening is the overflow of that becomes we can now have the freedom to provide excellent service to the customer, because we're able to take the time and attention and to detail that we need to make sure it's done well and done correctly.
Your job as the owner is to serve your employees.
Yeah, 100%.
You work for them. And that's where a good culture begins, is understanding that it's a bottom-up type of approach. It's not top-down.
Sure.
If there's, garbage that needs to be taken out around here, I mean, I'm not above that.
Yeah.
I go ahead and do it. We kind of have a mantra around here, just clean the mess. Even, and it's something that I've actually brought home with my kids, that I don't care who made the mess in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it's messy, just clean it up. And say, hey, we know that my daughter, her charge is the bathroom and it was messy. Spencer, you went and you cleaned it up. You took the initiative. You told her, said, hey, the sink was kind of a mess. There was some toothpaste. You let her know nicely. And if she doesn't clean it, or if she doesn't, if they say thank you, you let us know, we get involved, that kind of thing. Yeah. But around here, we have an attitude that we try to permeate, which is just clean the mess,
For sure.
Don't point fingers. Don't blame. If there's a mess to be cleaned up and it was somebody else that dropped the ball, just say, hey, man, I kind of took care of this for you. Just, try not to let that happen again.
Yeah.
And if they do it again, then, hey, I told you before, at that point, if they keep on messing up,
they're not the right fit.
You let us you let us know and say, hey, is there a problem here?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's culture building is so tough though. It's an everyday thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I even slipped on that, I think, towards the back end of last year. I really started getting a lot more focused on numbers, and even like communicating that to my employees of like, hey, this is how much work we've got to do today. We got to get it done, like that, those kind of things. And started to forget myself even of my own vision of why I even started this company, why I wake up in the morning.
Why did you start it?
Literally because of that kind of Ephesians 4, like I want to be a service and provide a positive opportunity to others, that they can actually find value and respect within the community of what they do, and build expertise in something, and then be able to provide financially for their families, as well as provide their presence and their time for their families. That's what I really care about a whole lot, is that community development specifically, with the people around me, that I want to impact them in a positive way so that they can see the contentment and love of life in general that I have for what I do, and then it allows them the freedom to be able to continue to do that too, because I can actually provide for an opportunity for them to have a reputable job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just the fact of like being able to do honest work with your own hands, I think brings a lot of joy in people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And instead of, some kind of like weird scam thing or whatever, like in college, there was 1.5 million different like quote unquote companies that came to my fraternity house.
There's something to
try to get us to work for them.
Yeah, there's something to working with your hands that just is fulfilling. I didn't know it at the time, and you've probably heard me tell the story of me being an electrician, an apprentice back when I was once upon a time in my 20s, even my 20s, I would say. And it wasn't for me at the time, but now that I'm in a position that I have to put a tool belt back on, get up in a lift or a ladder and put some lights in, or help out the guys pull some wire. I don't mind it anymore. I really don't. Getting my hands dirty after 18 some odd years in radio, just sitting behind in a studio and making stupid noises. I found it was funny because in the radio station where I worked, we would do days where we would do community days. Part of our culture was going out there and working in the community. Yeah. And there was, we used to do, what's the name of the organization that builds housing? Habitat for Humanity. Yeah. So we'd spend a day helping out, doing whatever. And it was easy for me to jump right in because it was something I always did when I was younger. For sure. But man, you'd forget how fulfilling it was to look back on the day and see what you've built.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It's so cool.
What else? What led you to window cleaning though? What else have you done? Was it straight out of college kind of thing? Yeah.
No, actually. So I graduated from MTSU with an aerospace administration degree.
Interesting.
In 2016.
Right.
And so the original dream kind of there was to be able to manage some kind of airport or be in kind of a management role within an airline. Eventually I wanted to, once I build up like a solid career within kind of the normal industry of that, I wanted to jump over to like a nonprofit organization that is aviation oriented, that helps deliver supplies to isolated areas in the world or stuff like that. And that the admin dispatch kind of role that I got a degree in would be able to really facilitate that well. But yeah, so I actually, instead of that happening, I became a Christian whenever I was a freshman in college. So it was like growing in my faith as well as in my schooling. And whenever I graduated, I decided to go on staff with the college ministry that I was involved with. And so I did that for 3 years over in Arkansas State in Jonesboro, Arkansas. It's about an hour northwest of Memphis.
Okay.
And man, loved that so much. It was a lot. It was a ton of fun and a great time. And I was probably a little unconventional, like not your typical, your typical like quote unquote youth pastor or college pastor type guy. I was in a fraternity as well all throughout college. So I would go in the fraternity houses and we would have a Bible study. And I told the guys that lived there, I was like, hey, I don't care if you guys drink a beer while we're reading the Bible. Totally fine. Let's, do your thing. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, because this is your place. This is your home. This is not my home. I'm the visitor, not you. So you don't have to act a certain way around me. And I've seen it all anyway. I lived in a fraternity house for 3 years. So, nothing's going to surprise me. And what ended up happening there was really cool because it just opened a ton of relationships, that same kind of personability that I was able to build. And then after that, I worked at Allstate as a claims adjuster for car accidents and stuff like that. And so did that for 2 years and then jumped on with and that was a lot of fun in the sense of like investigative work. It was pretty cool. Like you had similar aspects that were the same in every accident, but they were also very different. And what was cool is the transferable concept there was with Window Hero, you can develop the same skills, like you can build your skills, apply those skills to a different problem every time. And so you have this balance of stability in the skill set that you learn, as well as the complexity or newness of a new house. Every house is different. And the same kind of place, or the same kind of concept was at Allstate, where you built the same kind of normal steps of figuring out how to investigate an accident, but every accident was different. So you had to apply those skills in a unique way each time that you were on the phone with somebody. So that was a pretty cool little learning point, I think, that I took away from Allstate.
So never went back to aviation engineering or?
Nope.
No?
Nope. I tried really hard, which it was perfect. It was, just the best timing in the world. COVID hit and all of airlines in the world shut down, quite literally. And so whenever that happened, I was like, you know what? I think this would be a good time to apply for aviation jobs. And so that's what I did. Like basically for a year, a little over a year, I just consistently applied for different aviation opportunities at different airports within kind of the Southeast and Midwest. And every time I would get to like the second or third interview, like all the way up, multiple times, even to the last interview, and they would they would choose to go with somebody else
Right.
instead. And it was like, man, this is so frustrating. Like, I am making it so far at the New Orleans airport, the Lexington airport, Nashville airport, the Smyrna airport, the Gary, Indiana airport, like so many airports. I had made it so far in the interview process, and they decided to go with somebody else every time. And then at the time, Labor Pains, or Window Hero now, they reached out to me right around Thanksgiving of 2020, and said, "Hey, we saw kind of your background on LinkedIn, and we thought that you might be a good fit to be a franchisee with this company. Would you be interested in talking about it?" They literally messaged me on LinkedIn, and I was like, "This is fake. That's not a real thing at all." Right. That's why I ignored it. But the recruiting agency that Labor Pains was using to reach out to people, they were actually connected in a very unique way to the same college ministry that I was a part of, as well as the founder of Labor Pains / Window Hero, Tyler Kirk. He used to be on staff with the same college ministry.
Wow.
Yep. And so that's why they even reached out to me in the first place, was because I used to be on staff with, it's called Campus Outreach.
They saw the similar connections. Yeah.
Yep. And so that's why they reached out to me in the first place. And then I was like, wow, this is actually a real thing. I did not realize, I thought this was spam. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you. And lo and behold, just kind of over the next like 2 or 3 months.
Can't hold it against you for thinking that, a direct message from some random stranger is a spam thing, because it happens. It's like the Valpak of, just, so I must be working with somebody, because I love the fact when you connect with somebody, they'll send you an actually pretty good, not heartfelt, but, good intro email or whatever. And say, hey, I see we have these things in common. Would love to connect. All right, fine. You accept it, and all of a sudden you get barraged with like 4 pages of their pitch.
Yeah.
Hey, when you want to jump on a call? I don't know. What are we going to talk about? It looks like you just eviscerated yourself in this direct message.
Yeah.
But, look exactly how it happened for you. It was legit.
Very ironic.
And look at you now. I mean, was it any funds up front you had to pony up for it or anything like that? Or
so this is also pretty wild. It's definitely not standard practice. But so whenever I was talking with Tyler and his team and stuff, they were basically like exactly what you asked. Like, hey, what do you think you could? Here's the franchise fee. I think it was like $25,000 or something like that. This is the fee for it or whatever. This is kind of the money that it would take to kind of get it off the ground. How much do you think you'd be able to contribute to that? And I was like, hey, to be honest, none of it.
Yeah.
I ain't got no capital whatsoever.
You hear that echo behind me? That's the sound of my wallet, my bank account.
Exactly. Yeah. And so they're like, well, do you think you could like buy a truck, but then just pay the truck off through the company directly?
Right.
And I was like, I mean, I can definitely try.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I don't know. And they're like, well, see if you can get approved for a truck. If you can get approved for the truck and stuff, then that'll be kind of your version of getting the skin in the game. We'll cover the rest of it for you, the rest of the expenses, and you can just pay us back.
Yeah, they just want to get it out there. What's the, how many franchises do they have? Or franchisees?
We just added like 3 or 4 in the past like 2 months.
Right.
So I think we're at like 18 or 20 now.
So you were brand new to the brand at that time.
To Window Hero, yeah. So I came in on the last year that they were called Labor Pains.
Right.
And then whenever they switched to Window Hero, they became part of Homefront Brands, which is a parent company.
Okay.
That allowed us to be able to get like preferred vendors at a cheaper rate and stuff like that, as well as a lot more expertise on marketing programs and plans and that kind of stuff. As well as they help the franchisor expand the company to a lot of franchises across the nation. And so that's basically what's happening now is we're in the early stages of them expanding Window Hero across the nation. So we had a guy in Boca Raton that came on. We got a guy in Columbia, South Carolina, dude over in Knoxville, and just a guy just signed on in Texas that I forgot about. So it's probably like 20. We're probably closer to 20 now, 22.
And your territory is Middle Tennessee mostly? Yeah.
So we have 2 territories of Window Hero in Middle Tennessee. Myself, I own Williamson County and Rutherford County. And then my good friend Tim Tucker, he owns Davidson County and north, basically, north of that. And Tim's a really great guy, too. If anybody sends me a referral that's in his territory, I always give him praises because he does an excellent job.
Can you go out and franchise other areas yourself?
Yeah, so I could become like multiple unit owner type of deal, where if I wanted to own a territory in Memphis or something like that, I could. It wouldn't really be advantageous to find something that's like Sumner County, that's kind of not really high population or anything. The return on that kind of investment wouldn't be very high. So it'd be you really want to focus on those kind of like mainstream areas that are big cities. Typically, if they have like a professional team or something like that, they're going to be big enough to actually kind of withstand a scalable kind of business like this.
What did you have for business acumen coming into it?
Man, a whole lot of nothing. Right. I didn't know nothing about a profit and loss statement. I didn't know nothing about marketing. I didn't know anything at all about window cleaning or pressure washing. I didn't know anything.
So what was
at all
from, okay, I want to do this to the first job? How long was that period of time?
Probably about a month and a half. So about mid-January is whenever I made the verbal commit, got all the paperwork figured out by the beginning of February.
Yeah.
Went to Charlotte for a month in February, for the whole month of February, and got training on how to clean windows, how to do a ladder setup, gutters, pressure wash. And then on the back end of that, they also started giving us kind of a crash course on marketing and all that kind of stuff. But really the first year, they were very gracious to basically handle all of my marketing and like bookkeeping and all that kind of stuff on their own. And they were like, hey, we'll handle this in-house. You focus on figuring out how to do a job, how to quote a job. And so that's what I did the first year, just learning how to do these things. And then the second year, this past year, that's whenever I really started having the capacity to actually learn kind of the back of house stuff, behind the curtain marketing and admin, and figuring out the prime kind of numbers that you're looking for with advertising and payroll and different levers that you can kind of tweak to maximize your efficiency to be profitable. And so this year I'm really excited because I think the kind of setup that I've got for us through this third year, I think we're really going to hit some solid numbers, even with the economy not being the greatest in the whole wide world. I think we're still going to do really, really well. So I'm really excited about this year.
Have you noticed any difference in the performance with the economy somewhat being a little bit in turmoil?
Yeah, I think people are not. I don't think they're necessarily not willing to spend the money, the same amount of money. I think more so they care a lot more about their verification that they're getting good value.
Right.
That they're not just going to frivolously throw it away. They're going to be more intentional with the money that they want to spend.
Right.
And so I think that's really where I try to provide a lot of value. And in the way that I even just present myself is that reliability, that excellence. Hey, you are getting good value for the money you're going to spend with us. And so it's just a little bit more of a harder sell, but I don't think people are, I haven't really saw
you get, I would imagine, the same objection a lot, and it's a price objection, I would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, once you start getting up into like the more they want,
the higher the price.
Yeah, the higher the price. And so you start giving them all that higher price, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's pretty wild. And so, I mean, literally 2 hours before this podcast, even, I was at a guy's house. He had a 6,000 square foot driveway he wanted pressure washed. He wanted his 5,500 square foot home power washed, all of his windows cleaned inside and out.
Yeah.
And
that's a chunk of change right there.
Yeah, it was a lot of windows, a lot of house, and a lot of driveway. Yeah. And so whenever I gave him the price, he was like, "Oh my gosh, that is crazy." And I worked with him. I was like, "Hey man, this I want to do a really good job for you." And he even was saying that he also did some selling towards me too, and we kind of came to an agreement. But because he was a builder and has multiple different homes and different stuff that he's also building, so I was like, okay, I'll give you a little bit of a discount now, just to give you a proof test of how great a job we're going to do. Mm-hmm. And on those post construction jobs, I want to get a fair shot at bidding on that.
So do you come out and with the readjustment in price when you have a negotiation like that?
I mean, it really is kind of case by case basis, because sometimes there's people's houses that are just like I might normally quote, if it was just a normal ladder setup, I might only quote that window, for $10. But then if it's on the back side of a house that's almost got a cliff face behind it and it's super freaking scary, then I'm going to actually quote that a little bit different. Because I'm literally, I'm kind of risking my life to make sure your window's clean. So
you can always tell.
It kind of depends.
My rule of thumb was that if you had a feeling that the customer was going to be a challenge, or they were asking for a lot, and you kind of you knew that it wasn't going to be, they were going to get sticker shock. I would actually, let's make it worth our while. I understand fully that I could shoot myself out of a cannon with the price I'm offering or proposing. But hey, if they do pull the trigger, then it's worth my while.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. I try to instead of just straight up give them a discount on if they were like, I just want my gutters cleaned out. Yeah. And they're like, oh man, that's pretty pricey or something. What I'll do is be like, hey, well, I noticed kind of your front steps and your walkway here are really dirty and they've got mold and mildew all over them. Yeah. We'd love to pressure wash that while we're here to do the windows. Right. And you know what? I'll only add $75 for it instead of the normal $150 that I'd pay to do that.
That's a slick upsell, my friend.
And people buy that kind of stuff all the time. Yeah. So yeah, I literally did that before I got here. Just there was a lady who's trying to sell her house. She was just wanting the gutters cleaned, and I asked her, do you also want your windows cleaned? She's like, well, I don't know. Maybe my realtor might. Let me go ahead and just put it on the quote just in case, and we'll see. And then originally it was just going to be gutters and windows. And then I asked her, I was like, hey, I noticed that your front porch area and driveway were covered in green mold. Yeah. Are you guys want that power wash before you do the showings and the pictures and stuff? And she was like, yeah, quote that too, because I'll see if we can fit that in with the realtor too. So it was it was easy kind of just to put in those actual needs that they had. I'm beautifying their property to help increase that value for them to
appeal.
Sell it. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a trick, I guess, in the the skill, not necessarily a trick in the sense of scheming somebody, but in the sense of a skill set to be able to provide legitimate value. And if hey, if we were going to do two really big jobs at the same time at your house, yeah, I think it's fair to give you a discount because I don't have to pay for the gas or the time for my employee to have to drive. We live in Murfreesboro, all my employees. So it's if we're doing a job all the way up near Old Hickory Boulevard, it's brother, we're about to drive an hour 15 all the way up there and an hour 15 back. I want to make it worth my while too. So I'll give you, we'll do more work and it'll cost more, but I'll give you a better value just because we don't have to worry about commute or any of that kind of stuff. And so,
I meant slick upsell. I get what you were doing there. It's just, hey, you could do this and you know what? I'll throw it in at a discount. And at that 100%. Point it becomes a great value.
Yep. Yeah. I do that a lot of times with gutter cleaning in particular, because the way we charge gutter cleaning is not necessarily based off of time, but really based off of effort and danger. Because a lot of times for majority homes, you can typically get on the roof with roofing shoes and some safety equipment and actually clean out the gutters fairly quickly. And if you have the right kind of guys, which I used to have a guy, Kevin Watson's son, actually, Gray Watson. That guy was a daggum chimpanzee on roofs. I don't know how he did it all the time, but he would climb on people's roofs I would never touch. Ain't no way I'm climbing on that roof. And he would get up there and a 9,000 square foot home, he cleaned out the whole entire house in about 20 minutes, all the gutters. Did it very good. And literally just because he climbed all the way around the edge of the 9,000 square foot home. And so that kind of stuff on upsells, gutter cleaning is a really good one because it doesn't take us nearly as long. And I can give him a pretty significant, discount, and just be like, you know what, I'll eat it in the fear factor, in the pucker factor, instead of actual time and effort given. So
the company spent some time with you on sales, marketing, business basics, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Do they have their own culture? Getting back to our initial conversation about culture. Do they have a culture built in that kind of filters down to you? Yeah. So, you're putting me on the spot because I definitely don't remember what these stand for, but there is an acronym of CARES that the parent company as a whole wants to provide to any residential home customer, because that's what they care about, home front brands like that. They're getting a lot of service industry companies under their brand,
in order to be able to kind of be like a one-stop shop for a customer if they need driveway repair, gutter repair, window cleaning, mosquito spraying, whatever it might be, a fence built in, all these different things that they can provide that for the customer all at the same time.
Under one roof.
Yeah. And so with the CARES, I don't remember what it all stands for, but ultimately the main sentiment for Homefront and specifically within Window Hero that we try to build is the idea of reliability, excellence, and just looking sharp, looking the part of like, hey, we're an expert, we know what we're doing, and it's not some sketchy random guy that may or may not be insured and may or may not have ever power washed a driveway before or something, and we actually know what we're doing, and we're going to take good care of you as a customer and let you know about things that doesn't have anything to do with us, like a damaged roof. While I'm climbing on your roof, guess what? I have a really intimate look at what your roof looks like. And so I ain't got nothing to do with a roof, repairing a roof whatsoever. I don't make any money off of that, but you better believe I'm going to tell a customer whenever I find some loose shingles in their gutter line. And I'm like, hey, this whole section of your gutter's had some shingles falling through it or into it or whatever.
So Bo Teague is a pretty good comrade of yours. Yeah.
Bo Teague loves me.
Now the guys, Quintin is also a member of my BNI chapter. You know, I have a lot of BNI folks on here, and Bo Teague, he was on another episode of ours a few episodes back, does roofing with quality exteriors. So if they can't be cleaned, Bo can replace them.
That's right.
So
that's right. He does a great job, and it was really funny. Before I was even a member at BNI, I gave him a referral. And they ended up getting like $28,000 off of that job.
Nice. Let me ask you this. BNI, has that helped you out?
Yeah, it really has. Ironically enough, like maybe 2 weeks after I became an official member, I was still like a young buck, really insecure, didn't know what the heck was going on in BNI. But there was another power washing company called Superior Exteriors. And they came in, Ed brought them in, just as like a visitor or whatever. And so I met them. I was really insecure. I was like, oh, what the heck? This guy's already like trying to bring people in on, I didn't know Ed at all. So I was like, in my head, I'm like, this guy's already trying to bring other people in and steal my business. What the heck?
Yeah.
And it ended up being the exact opposite. Like Grant, the owner of Superior Exteriors, that man has probably sent me like $12,000-$15,000 since I've known him in business.
You just never know, man.
Which is crazy. Yeah. So it's really cool. I mean, the members in the group, there's been plenty of people, Dr. Kelly Rice, Zach Hurd, so many people have wanted to use my services. And I'm really excited to kind of see how that continues to grow and not necessarily so I can make more money. I honestly don't really care about making a whole lot of money, which may be contrary to most people's perspectives or
I think
whatever. But
if you enjoy what you're doing and you love the grind, if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk at all, he talks about falling in love with the day-to-day, the struggle, the challenge, the grind. He always says, look, if money is your end game and your big payout is your end game, he says, you're going to lose. That's one sure. And I'm going, there's a lot of sense to what he's saying for sure. Because it is the day-to-day. You're going to be doing this for a while. The people that sell the notion of the overnight success, a lot of people, it's a 5 to 7 year overnight success.
For sure.
That comes out.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You're in year 2 with this.
Yeah, just finished year 2 into year 3.
And you're doing amazing. You're busy every day. You're working every day.
Yeah, for sure.
As the weather gets warmer, it's going to pick up.
Oh, yeah, it already has.
Yeah.
It already has. Literally, the first 3 weeks of February, I may had like, it was really slow. February's always, that's the slowest month.
Yeah.
But the first 3 weeks, I may have had like 7-8 quotes total.
But what do you do? What do you do to fill your time in those weeks in February?
Oh, man, I just call, I text and call every realtor, contractor, builder, even other power washing companies that I've already kind of like in any way, shape, or form have relatively met in any way.
Yeah.
And I don't ever ask them for anything. I just periodically, once a month, Have done that since I was really intentional about it in October, since October. So
November, a lot of marketing.
Yeah, November, December, January, February, I just try to meet new people. And then the people I do meet just say, hey, it was great to meet you. Let me know if you need anything. You know, I'm here for you type deal.
Well,
and just do that over and over again.
What is your problem, man? It sounds like everything's going really well. You've heard this podcast enough that you know this was coming.
That's right. That's right. I was thinking about it on the way, literally actually the whole weekend.
Nice.
Trying to think of what exactly I wanted to mention as my problem, because I feel like there's so many. And now here's my chance.
There you go.
It's my one chance. I don't want to.
So do we need the
lose it? I got to lose myself in the music, the moment. And now
the tension bed.
There it is. What will he say?
What's it gonna be? So many problems to choose from.
That's
right.
right.
You can only pick one.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I say my problem that I'm going to mention now is my problem right now is I really want to see my vision fulfilled, and I know that it can't happen right now. And so I'm like impatient. And specifically within my vision, for me personally, as the owner of Window Hero, my vision is to provide a respectable job that people can provide for their families financially, as well as with their time and presence. And I can't do that right now to an effective extent for like legitimate families. I can provide for a college student who just needs to, pay for beer money and rent. Mm-hmm. But man, I had a conversation with a guy this morning who is married, and he's got to provide for his family, like legit.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him like, hey, this is a reality. Like, this is the vision. I'm going to grow this thing. We're going to be awesome. And I really am going to take care of my guys. But right now it still kind of sucks. Like just financially whenever it comes to payroll. Mm-hmm. And so if you can fit it, I want to get creative on how I can fit you in to sweeten the deal as much as I can to bring you on, because I know you're a quality man who's got the right skill set and expertise that already. And so that's my problem, is bringing people on that, and that I can share with them, as Ephesians 4 talks about, share with them when they're in need, and providing for their family. I want to be able to do that. And so that's what is my problem, I guess.
Right. So it's a financial AR kind of thing, balance sheet kind of thing.
Yeah. Just really trying to hone in on like, man, what are these aspects that I can like touch here, touch there to really maximize our efficiency. And one area for me was paid marketing, where last year I paid $78,000 in paid marketing.
Yeah.
And this year I'm on track to pay about $35,000 in marketing, but still grow gross revenue. Are
you doing anything with Instagram or TikTok with some of the satisfying videos that these guys are putting out there?
Yeah, so our franchisor, they're handling a lot of stuff on Facebook, Google, and Instagram for us and doing that kind of stuff. I personally actually don't. I technically have accounts on Instagram and Facebook and things, but I am completely in the dark on all social media things.
Well, if you look up a lot of guys that do what you do.
Oh, yeah.
They set up a camera on a stand and time lapse the cleaning. Mm-hmm. Could be a patio, could be a driveway, could be stairs, and they are just fascinating to watch.
It is really cool. Yeah. It is really cool. I've watched them. Them. There's a guy on there that literally does it for free.
Yeah, just to get video content.
Yeah, just to get video. Yeah. And he gets paid by the ads and stuff on his YouTube videos.
That he can build it that way. That's another revenue stream for you that helps you with your goal. So go get a GoPro and just pop it up and
Well, so Gray, he was all about that stuff. He was watching like window cleaning, world record window cleaning videos of like the fastest window cleaners ever, like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he was doing all that stuff, and I was like, bro, you need to video yourself, because you do like crazy things. Like you need to get a GoPro, put it on your head or something, or on your chest, so people can see what you do. Yeah. And so he was like, yeah, I should. We never ended up doing it, but like that kind of idea, I think is super. Well, cool.
You need to run with it.
Yeah, we should
run with that idea. Because that's free marketing. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease to get it out there and produce it and everything. And, it's one more thing to do, but it's an important thing, because if you get an audience, not only can you monetize that on YouTube and all the different channels or social platforms, buddy, I mean, it's just exposure for you, especially here in Middle Tennessee. If people know that you're local, And
Yeah,
you start
for sure.
getting a big locality is going to beat everything, man. I mean, if you ever get down to that and you constantly put the hashtags in with Middle Tennessee, Nashville, all the different cities and stuff like that, buddy, you're going to go nuts with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a great opportunity. And whenever I see, there's a guy who actually does lawn mowing and yard cleaning and trimming and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
He does the same thing. He actually puts the camera up. He's wearing a mic and he'll ask the person, hey, I drove by. You've got a lot of grass that's growing up. Your yard looks like you could use some help. I'm willing to do it for free if you'll have me. And a lot of people are skeptical at first. He
Sure.
says, well, why are you doing that? Because it gives me video content. I'm going to set up a camera and just do my thing. The great thing for you is that you're going to have a nice looking property when I'm done.
Yeah.
And dude, I will watch video after video of that stuff. It's so stupid. But I mean,
Yeah.
it works.
It does.
know?
It does. It does.
I mean, somebody had the idea to set up cameras on a jetty, right? In Hallover Inlet in Florida.
jetty.
A jetty, like the thing you go, it's like on the either side of an inlet. There, it's between a bay and the ocean, right?
Okay.
It's a little passageway. They call it an inlet.
Okay.
So on either side, there are either rocks or concrete, jetties that people can walk on. At Hallover, you can literally, the Four Seasons is right next to it, or the Ritz-Carlton. I'm sorry, and you can walk down to the end of it. It's got a beacon that for boaters and stuff, but there's a beach there and whatever. So it's public access. These guys are setting up tripods. And they got hundreds of thousands of followers watching boats go in and out of the inlet. And
That's
this
wild.
particular inlet is tumultuous. It's one of the most wavy, I guess you could
Okay,
say.
yeah.
When the tide's going out and everything, oh my gosh, you see guys that just don't know what they're doing. The boats are taking on water and they got to
That's
call
hilarious.
people. Oh, dude, it's Saturday mornings, I'm just watching that stuff.
That's funny.
Sitting in bed, hanging out with my
Yeah, I
wife.
might have to do that. I got a buddy of mine who's got a GoPro. He might be willing to let me borrow it.
Maybe you need to do, I would actually recommend an Insta 360 for what you're doing.
Insta 360.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if anything, if you were to get a helmet cam, you could put the Insta 360 on your helmet. And when you're doing these really risky gutter jobs or second and third story window jobs, just the process of you getting all strapped up or whatever it is, that in and of itself is fun to watch.
Yeah, that's true. That's
there are
true.
guys that do the tower climbing videos. You ever see those? The radio towers?
Yeah.
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 And they
Those
sit
are
there and
wild.
they time lapse it and you just see, it probably takes them a half an hour to get to the top.
Yeah.
But, in the video, it takes them 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buddy.
That'd be
telling you.
cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And there's no reason why you can't do it on your phone. It's amazing the stuff you can do.
For sure.
So-
I'll definitely want to think about it because, I mean, that was something that for me, like I genuinely was struggling with and trying to find solutions of like,
Yeah.
okay, like could I go sell cars part-time just so I don't have like as much financial liability or like not liability, but financial weight on the company itself.
Right.
So I can provide better for my guys.
Right.
Instead of, also having to provide for my entire salary and my livelihood. But could I try to do something else? And so,
Well, imagine if you've got a channel of videos that does nothing but pay your
Exactly.
salary. And
Exactly.
now you're not a weight on the
Exactly.
AP anymore,
Yep.
the payroll.
yeah,
So, I would say go for it. Just figure it out. Doesn't have to be perfect at first. You're going to figure it out over time. Run it by me. If you want help, you can always ask me.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
And, we'll build you a channel.
Sweet.
Yeah. And eventually you call it, it could be its own brand, right?
Yeah.
And like all these places, there's one called the Qualified Captain. It goes back to boating for some reason, but they sell merch, and it's all their channel does is look at the buffoonery of boaters, Googans as they call them, and it's all these guys, renters and stuff like that, who rent boats on the weekends that don't know what they're doing. You got children who are bow riding. Oh yeah, go sit on the bow while we go 40 miles an hour across the. If he falls off, he's done.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's almost like a purposeful cause that they're putting out there to make people aware that you shouldn't do that, but at the same time they still shame the people who do.
Yeah.
Guys who are getting out of the channel and all of a sudden they're flying across outside of the channel and they get grounded. Their boat just stops short and then they're done until the tide comes back. Oh, dude.
Oh my word.
Oh, buddy. They
Oh, my
make
word.
bank. just by selling. They got flags, T-shirts,
cool.
all that stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I had some summer guys that worked for me. They did TikTok videos all the time.
Yeah.
Of them, they loved gutter cleaning. That was their favorite thing because you got to climb up on roofs and act like a spider and stuff. You can be like Spider-Man. And so like they would literally go up there and like one guy's a huge Rocky fan, and so he like climbed up to the very top of a house, stood on the very top of the house, and held his leaf blower up above his head. Just like acting like he's Rocky that just got at the top of the steps, that kind of thing, and had the music in the background for TikTok. I mean, it's really funny stuff.
As long as they're OSHA compliant, that's the only thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that would get us for sure. But but yeah, so it's definitely something to look into for sure.
Yeah.
I have a 32-foot ladder. Like we get up really freaking high, like above your second story window. I will be on the third story window. It's like it's some scary stuff for sure.
It's hairy. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fun. I like it.
I had to change out lights on a 50-foot lift about this time last year.
Yes, sir.
Pole lights for a job up in Cleveland. And Cleveland, if you're not aware, very windy in March and still very cold and snowy. So we ended up doing the pole light job in late April when it warmed up there a bit.
Okay.
Still windy because you're right near Lake Erie. And I was the one leading our team up there. One of the guys who was helping out, he just got finished with some surgeries and everything because he had a car accident previous to that in November. And so he was like my second in command, and I had two other helpers. But I wasn't, the other two people weren't really keen on getting up there. I'm like, fine, I'll just do it. You know what I mean? So I literally have pictures of myself laying on my stomach in this cherry picker. It was probably, I think, an 80-foot self-drive. And I'm at the top of these poles, cutting all the wire to the existing lights that were probably 25, 30 years old, just letting the wire fall down the pole and then dismantling the array that held the 4 light heads. Now, each light head was probably 80, maybe 120 pounds.
Wow.
Times 4. And I was literally craning them off with my lift. So I was using it not only to get up there, but also like a crane to lift the entire array off. So instead of taking, that's just the way we did it. It seemed the best, most efficient way. But buddy, when you're sitting there and you got your lift, which is moving in the wind in its own vacillation form.
Oh, yeah.
And then the pole itself is moving in the wind. But it gets frustrating, but it also makes you pucker.
Yeah, 100%. I get it. That 32-foot ladder, whenever it's fully extended, it bows up and down. So, I mean, like crazy. Like, I mean, you genuinely have probably like a 5 to 6 foot rate or like diameter of movement from one end to the other.
That's not fun.
On it. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
yeah, it's it can really get your heartbeat.
Oh, dude,
for sure.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's really funny. Like if I bring a new guy on or something, he's like, "Man, I don't know how you're doing that, man. I have no clue." And I'm like, "Slow and steady. That's how you do it." Don't worry, I am just as scared as you would be if you were up there. It's just I'm going nice and slow, and you just take your time and get it done and come back down. That's what you do. Yeah. And so I don't know. It's a lot of fun though.
You use drones or anything to check out roofs and gutters?
No, there's some other franchises that do that, especially for like HOAs that have, if it's like an old person's home kind of community type deal, they'll run a drone over the 40 homes that are in the community and then find the 20, 15 homes that actually have stuff in them. Right. I mean, just go clean those. But I right now I still do old fashioned, get up there and look myself type deal.
So I would imagine that even though you want to have, be able to support and sustain people that have families and everything like that, that's one goal. But what does your 5-year look like, your outlook?
Yeah, so 5-year,
because I mean, honestly, that's when a business really does get off the ground.
Yeah, for sure. So I think for me, I really want to make sure I have really solid return customers. I think if you have repeat customers who use you multiple times, man, you are winning. Long term, you're going to win. And because you're doing a quality job and you're building a legitimate relationship that's meaningful to the customer.
Right. It's very important to you.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think that's part of it. I really don't want to think of it as size necessarily. But I mean, even with that, just having like specific parameters, because I do think numbers are very helpful to give you kind of a symptom of the health of your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for me, I think those symptoms or that kind of those general parameters. Man, I would love for us to be able to be above in 5 years, be above a $600,000 gross revenue per year, kind of range, with about 5 trucks, 5 teams working at the same time, and then within even Homefront Brands. As a parent company, I want to be able to be involved with some other brands within the company, within that parent company, to service those same exact customers through different avenues.
Right.
And that's one creative way that I've thought of already to be able to provide like managers and specifically where they could manage 2 companies that are very closely related, and just have management over both of those companies, and their payroll at that point gets split off between 2 companies rather
funded
than,
by different branches.
Yeah. So they basically get paid from 2 different companies rather than having the full weight of their salary and their livelihood coming from one. And so
it's got to service 2 different companies.
Yeah.
And what they do.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And so they obviously are going to work obviously for 2 different companies. So that's part of the gig, you know. They're not going to do it for free. Like you're going to have to work hard to make it happen. But that's where that honest work with your own hands, I think, comes in, so that we can have something to share whenever you're in need, comes into play. And so that's what I really care about. But yeah, in 5 years, that's kind of the size that I would want Window Hero specifically to be at, is somewhere in that kind of range.
Well, I mean, it's funny. I actually asked Gary Vaynerchuk on Twitter. I didn't talk to him directly. He always measures his company's success in the amount of employees he has. He never says the amount of money it makes.
Yeah.
That is worth this much. He always says, no matter how big he gets, he says, I run a 900 person company. And I'm like, that's a big indicator to me. That tells me a lot about the person that said that, meaning they're more concerned about the amount of people that they have on their team than the worth of, or the revenue numbers of the company. Yeah,
I think something that I really care about too is like college students or young guys that are just kind of working for me part-time now. I really would love for them to find us an amazing opportunity whenever they graduate college that doesn't have anything to do with me, and do one of 2 things. They either say yes to that job, but I made it really tough for them to say yes to that job, because they really loved working for me, or 2, they say no to that great opportunity because they want to stay with me. And
they could be running crews at some point.
Well, exactly. Well, and I think I had that conversation with a guy who's actually going on staff with that same college ministry. He's about to graduate soon. And he called me on the phone a couple days ago and was like, hey, I want to let you know, man, I've been so thankful for what you've been able to provide for me with this job. I absolutely love working with you, and it's been amazing. But I think what's going to be in my best interest is to kind of move and try to find something that fits a little bit better in my schedule. But I want you to know, like, literally, I've been battling with this for like weeks because I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave Window Hero. Like, I want to stay with you guys.
How do you react to somebody who tells you that?
In all honesty, I like I said, I really like to try to push people towards what they are passionate about.
Sure.
And so Gray, for instance, is a real life example. Gray, whenever he first came on, he started talking to me about his interest in cars and that kind of stuff. And he really likes how his dad, Kevin, has, just a ton of different really amazing cars and stuff. And he shows
Kevin is a great guy.
Yes. Yeah. Kevin's amazing. And so Gray was talking about that. And as we continue to talk, I asked him, I was like, well, is that something that you would be interested in doing? Working with cars and stuff. And he's like, yeah, man, I think it'd be really cool to be like a mechanic for like race cars or like high octane, high performance vehicles. That would be really awesome. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like actually tried to stoke that fire in him a little bit of like, man, that sounds like a great opportunity. Like that would be really cool if you could do something like that, because I would love for him to say no to that opportunity because he loved working with me so much. Or 2, if he really is passionate, which this is actually what happened. He was like, man, I really do. I'm excited about this. I want to do this. Goes and he started his mechanic school or whatever last week. And I went by his house to go grab his t-shirts from him. Mm-hmm. And whenever I grabbed his t-shirts, he was leaving. He's like, hey man, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me work with you. And I really love you, man. And nice. He walked inside. It was like it's like, man, that is an amazing, meaningful relationship that I was able to impact Gray's life in a positive way. That, who knows, maybe 5 years from now, he might be like, I'm kind of tired of this mechanic thing. I really enjoyed climbing on roofs. Let me come back to Quintin. So I think, man, if in 5 or 10 years, these guys who are college students or young guys, they go and try something else that they think they're passionate about, and they're like, you know what? I think working at Window Hero was more fun, or that's actually more purposeful. I enjoyed that more and found more joy in my life with that. I'm going to come back to Window Hero. I think, man, that's a win. That's a huge win. So kind of in that employee range, if I can bring back old employees to come work for me again because they found out that, hey, that's the best setup that I can find, the best situation I can be in, then that's a W, man. I think that's really great.
I have a similar story to that when we were actually in that Cleveland job I was telling you about. We had one guy working for us, and for what we do, it's tough to find good people. We're a trade, mostly lighting. It can be tough. It's getting a little bit easier now that things are kind of turning. But for a season there, it was like you couldn't find anybody. But, the one person that was brought on, I had a conversation with him, and he was very passionate about music and wanted to make music, and he was only about 20 or 21 years old. So he was helping me put lights in and stuff, and we just got, tell me about yourself. So he was telling me how much we were going to see a band called Dream Theater, and he was just head over heels about this band.
Yeah.
And he thought it was amazing. And I had caught the guitar pick from the guitar player the night when we saw him and everything. Nice. To me, it's kind of like, it's not a big deal. Yeah. I've been around people like this my entire adult career.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm like, well, here's John Petrucci's guitar pick. And he was like, oh my God. And he was over the moon about it. I said, dude, not for nothing, as much as we'd hate to lose you, I'll tell you right now, you gotta, if this is something you feel you need to do, you gotta do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now is the time of life in which you can do that. You're in a music town. You say, what do I do? Go up and hang out with people. Go meet people. Shake hands, kiss babies. Try and find your way into the business. If this is something you really want to do, you'll find your way. You'll find your place. So I gave him that encouragement. And it's like what you're saying. People are going to remember you for two things. Because you told them they couldn't do it, or because you encouraged the fact that they could.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember the people that told me I'd be a loser. Clearly.
Yeah.
Because you want to prove them wrong. And then you want to make proud the people who really believed in you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, kudos on you for being the person who believes in people.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's really cool. I think that's probably my biggest strength. I'm not the fastest window cleaner or gutter cleaner, power washer. And what I think I'm really, really good at is kind of building a sticky web of community. And that actual stickiness that people, whenever they come in contact with me, I really want them to feel loved and appreciated and valued because they have that inherent dignity as a human in general, and that their dreams and passions and hopes are legitimate, and I want to acknowledge that to them and be present with them in that moment to help them feel that way, and do that over a long period of time. That is daily tasks that you're talking about, like day to day, of making someone feel that way, and eventually what that creates is that really difficult moment where they're like, man, I don't want to leave because I really love working with Quintin. I really like being around him, and
they don't
get
one foot out the door and they can't wait to go.
Yeah, so I really that's my goal in a lot of ways, in that honest work that I was talking about, and having something to share with those in need, is really being able to provide that kind of culture.
Let me ask you this: do you have anybody that you emulate? People that are maybe a mentor, either from that does it from afar on social media, or somebody that that helps you with that knows more than you do, that shapes what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of them that I know. I mean, Elisha Lawrence. He is a professor, he's like a sort of professor at MTSU. He used to be on staff with that same college ministry, and he was really involved in kind of my spiritual growth. Yeah. And just his ability with tact, like being tactful in the way that he interacts with people, and tries to empathize and enter into other people's worlds, I think was very impactful for me. And even with guys like Paul Davis, He's another good friend of mine that I actually lived with him and his wife and their kid whenever I moved back from Arkansas here for a year. And Paul Davis, though, he's been hugely impactful in the way that he presents authenticity, that he's not afraid to acknowledge his character defects, his shortcomings and that kind of stuff, as well as celebrating the things that he does well, and as well as other people, what they do well, and encouraging others. And so I really like that about him, because I think growing up for myself, that was something that was really difficult, is that I always felt like I had to be a certain person, or like a chameleon around different people, in the sense of like insecurity of like, oh, I can't go with them disliking me or being upset with me or disapproving of me. So I've got to act a certain way that might not really truly be my authentic self around them to gain their acceptance. Yeah. And so that's what I've really learned from both of those guys, but those have been some of the two most like impactful mentors in my life. I have a ton of others too that that I've been able to glean from, and really been so blessed to be able to have opportunities to meet so many different people that I can build those kind of relationships, those mentorships from. So,
well, how do people find and follow you? Reach out.
Yeah. So me personally, like I said, I'm not existent on social media, unfortunately, but windowhero.com. You can go there. And we will be there. Window Hero Franklin on Facebook. You can go to our page as well. You'll find me on there on Facebook, Instagram. It just will be highly inactive.
Well, now you can change that.
That's right. Last picture on Instagram was, I think the last picture was me in a wheelchair riding off in the distance.
Right.
Because I broke my leg senior year of college.
Nice.
And so my mom took that picture, and so I put it on Instagram.
Well, buddy, I mean, encourage your people, your guys, to have fun with videos if they want to do them. That's, create content. I believe every company has got to see itself as a media creation company first and foremost these days. Otherwise, you're vulnerable. So there you go, guys. All the contact information will be in the description. And, of course, let us know how we can get better. If you give us a 5-star review, awesome. If you find yourself on the fence, maybe a 3 or 4-star review, you know what? Reach out. Say, hey, Jim, you kind of suck in this way. I'd really appreciate it if you change this, and maybe I'll take it under consideration. And but 5-star reviews all the way around if you can.
I'm going to give one. You better believe it.
Appreciate it. And check us out at whatsyourproblempodcast.com. All your offerings are there. We're trying for just like heck to get 10,000 average downloads per episode. So if you can help us out, that would be wonderful. Share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Whatsyourproblempodcast.com. Quintin, long overdue. Thanks for coming out, pal.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. This was a great opportunity.